What's going on, WrestleScope family? Before we jump into today's completely shocking story, I need you to do something for me. Stop whatever you're doing, because what I'm about to share will rock everything you believed you knew about the man, Becky Lynch, and where she's headed in WWE. This is a major revelation that's creating massive waves through the wrestling community right now. And when this video wraps up, you're going to see why Becky Lynch's personal talk with Triple H has left WWE fans completely heartbroken. Hello everyone, if this is your first time here, please remember to like and hit that subscribe button for daily updates on WWE Raw. Here's what everyone is missing, and it's going to make your heart sink. While WWE has been feeding you the story that everything is perfect and wonderful behind closed doors, while they've been promoting the women's evolution and acting like they value their female superstars, Becky Lynch, the woman who single-handedly lifted the women's division for years, has been hurting in quiet. And the painful part? Triple H knew. He completely knew what was going on, and how this whole thing has been managed is nothing less than a letdown to one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time. I'm going to reveal exactly what Becky shared with Triple H in a crushing conversation that was never supposed to become public. I'm going to show you the true reason why the man has been noticeably missing from WWE shows. And I'm going to uncover the one thing that WWE definitely does not want you to discover about how they handle their biggest stars when the spotlight turns off. But here's where it gets even more frustrating. The big wrestling media outlets, they're quiet. They're defending WWE's reputation. They're hiding this away because they don't want to risk their valuable insider connections. Well, not here on WrestleSchool. We share the truth with you, no matter how awkward it makes those in charge. So get ready, because this story is about to send you through a whirlwind of feelings that'll make you rethink everything about WWE's so-called dedication to their superstars. Let me bring you back for a second, because to really grasp the size of this disappointment, you need to recall just how vital Becky Lynch is to WWE's story. 2018. That's when Rebecca Quinn changed from a reliable mid-card wrestler into the man, the hottest thing in all of professional wrestling, not just women's wrestling, but the whole industry. Do you recall that moment at SummerSlam when Becky attacked Charlotte Flair? The audience exploded. They didn't just applaud, they launched a movement. Becky wasn't meant to be the hero in that tale. WWE had planned for Charlotte to be the good guy, but the fans completely rejected that direction. And what did Becky do? She owned it. She became the voice of every wrestler who'd been ignored, every performer who'd been told they weren't talented enough, every fan who felt like they didn't match the corporate standard. Jump ahead to WrestleMania 35. Becky Lynch headlined the biggest event of the year alongside Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. She left as the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. She became the first woman to capture both titles at the same time at WrestleMania. This wasn't just a moment. This was history. This was the peak of decades of women battling for recognition, respect, and equality in this business. Becky Lynch deserved every single second of that attention. She powered through injuries, she mastered her craft, she connected with crowds in a way that very few wrestlers, male or female, ever manage. And WWE, they gained from every single moment of her climb. But here's what you didn't witness behind the scenes. Here's what WWE easily forgot in their documentaries and their self-praising PR efforts. The schedule was punishing. We're talking 250 days a year traveling, international tours, media appearances, photo sessions, charity events, and on top of all of that, the pressure to perform in the ring at the highest level, night after night after night. Becky handled it all without complaining, because that's who she is. That's the man. Then in 2020, she made the announcement that she was expecting. And in that moment on Monday Night Raw, when she handed her championship to Asuka, you could feel the emotion. This wasn't just a storyline. This was real life meeting her career in the most meaningful way possible. And you know what? Good for her. Becky deserved to step back and focus on her family. She'd given WWE everything, and now it was time for her to experience one of life's greatest blessings. She came back in 2021 at SummerSlam, and WWE quickly positioned her as a top star again. Big Time Bex was born, a more aggressive, more strategic version of the man. The character work was amazing. Her matches were fantastic. She was doing everything WWE wanted from her. But something was changed, and if you were watching, really watching, you could notice it in her eyes. The energy that made Becky special, that natural connection with the audience, it was being smothered by corporate demands and written promos that didn't sound like the man at all. Injuries started building up, a separated shoulder, various ongoing issues that come from working a WWE schedule for years. But Becky kept pushing because that's what you do in WWE. You work injured, you fight through the pain. You don't complain because there are 100 other skilled women who'd give anything for your position. That's the silent threat that hangs over every WWE superstar's head, isn't it? Now we arrive at the moment that changes everything.
Based on multiple sources familiar with the situation, and I want to be totally clear, these are people with direct knowledge of what happened. Becky Lynch asked for a meeting with Triple H roughly 6 weeks ago. This wasn't a simple conversation. This wasn't a creative discussion about her next storyline. This was Becky, open and worn out, sitting down with the chief content officer of WWE to have the hardest conversation of her professional life. And what she told him will break your heart. Becky admitted that she's been fighting severe physical and mental exhaustion. We're not talking about being tired after a rough match. We're talking about the kind of deep fatigue that comes from years of giving up your body and your personal life for a company that sees you as a product rather than a human being. She told Triple H that she's been experiencing anxiety attacks before shows. Imagine that, the man, one of the most assured performers in WWE history, having panic attacks about going to work. She shared that she's been dealing with ongoing pain that makes it hard to play with her own daughter without discomfort. Think about that for a second. Becky Lynch, who committed her life to becoming one of the greatest wrestlers on the planet, can't fully enjoy motherhood because of what she's put her body through for WWE's benefit. But here's the part that's going to make you angry. Becky told Triple H that she needs time away. Not forever, not retirement, just time to heal, to reconnect with her family, to remember why she fell in love with wrestling in the first place. She basically poured her heart out to someone she trusted, someone who's been in the industry for decades, someone who should understand the toll this business takes on performers. And you want to know what Triple H's response was? Based on our sources, he was understandable but firm. He recognized her concerns but made it clear that WWE has plans for her. He stressed how important she is to the women's division. He talked about upcoming storylines and opportunities. In other words, he did what WWE always does. He put the company's needs over the well-being of the talent. Now, I want to be fair here. Triple H didn't say no directly. He didn't refuse to give her time off. But he also didn't give her the complete support that someone in her position deserves. He made it conditional. He made it about business. And that, my friends, is where the heartbreak really begins. This isn't a one-time thing. This is a pattern that's been happening in WWE for decades, and it's time we talked about it. Let's talk about CM Punk for a moment. Remember his famous pipe bomb promo and later his appearance on Colt Cabana's podcast where he explained working through serious medical problems? How WWE's doctors wrongly diagnosed a potentially deadly infection? What about Daniel Bryan? The man had to retire because of concussion-related issues, and there were reports that WWE was pushing him to return before he was medically cleared. Edge, forced into retirement in 2011 because his body couldn't handle it anymore, only to return years later after healing and proving WWE's doctors wrong about how permanent his condition was. Stone Cold Steve Austin, his neck was broken, and while WWE didn't force him to continue, the culture of the business made him feel like he had to keep going until he literally couldn't anymore. And it's not just the men. Let's talk about the women who've cleared the path for stars like Becky. Paige, forced to retire in her prime because of neck issues that were made worse by WWE's demanding schedule. Nikki Bella worked for years with a serious neck injury because she felt pressured to keep her spot. Mercedes Moné, who left WWE partly because of frustration with how the women's division was being managed and the toll it was taking on her mental health. The list goes on and on and on. WWE has built a culture where taking time for yourself is seen as weakness, where putting your health first is viewed as lacking passion, where speaking up about burnout is seen as not being a team player. And the worst part? They sell this to the fans as dedication and toughness. They romanticize the suffering. They turn career-ending injuries into storylines and selling opportunities. Meanwhile, the performers, the real human beings behind the characters, are being worn down into dust. Now let's address the obvious issue, because this is where things get even more frustrating. When male superstars need time off, WWE almost always works with them. Roman Reigns works a part-time schedule now, and nobody questions it. Brock Lesnar has been a special attraction for years, appearing occasionally and getting paid huge amounts of money for limited dates. John Cena? He's been a part-time fan for most of a decade, showing up for big moments and then leaving to film movies. And you know what? Good for them. I'm not criticizing these guys for working out deals that work for their lives. They earned that leverage. But why doesn't Becky Lynch, who has proven herself to be just as valuable, just as marketable, just as important to WWE's success, get the same treatment? Why is it that when a man asks for time off or a lighter schedule, it's seen as smart business, but when a woman does it, there's hesitation? There are concerns about the division. There are questions about commitment. The women's division in WWE is strong right now. You've got Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, Tiffany Stratton, and so many other incredibly talented performers who are ready to step up. The idea that WWE can't work without Becky Lynch for a few months is ridiculous. And the fact that Triple H couldn't just say, take all the time you need, we'll be here when you're ready, that tells you everything you need to know about where the company's priorities really are. Let's step back for a second and talk about something bigger than just Becky Lynch or even WWE specifically. Professional wrestling has a serious mental health crisis, and it's something the industry has been reluctant to address honestly. The lifestyle is naturally harmful. You're away from your family constantly. You're in a different city every night. You're dealing with physical pain every day. You're in an industry where your value is decided by crowd reactions and backstage politics. And on top of all of that, you're expected to keep up a larger-than-life persona, to be on all the time, to never show weakness. Is it any wonder that we've lost so many wrestlers to suicide, drug overdoses, and other tragedies that come from untreated mental health issues? The list of wrestling deaths is huge, and while not all of them are directly connected to mental health, there's an undeniable pattern of wrestlers dealing with depression, anxiety, addiction, and other issues that the industry either ignores or takes advantage of. Becky Lynch having the courage to sit down with Triple H and say, "I'm not okay and I need help," that's not weakness, that's strength. That's exactly what we should be encouraging wrestlers to do. But if WWE's response to that honesty is to make her feel guilty, to stress what the company needs rather than what she needs, then what message does that send to every other performer on the roster? It sends the message that your value as a human being is less important than your value as a content creator, that your well-being doesn't matter as much as the next pay-per-view buy rate. And that is wrong. So where does this leave us? What happens next for Becky Lynch? As of right now, Becky has not appeared on WWE television since this conversation with Triple H happened. The official statement from WWE is that she's dealing